very hard to mimic that type of Paper X playstyle, just like it's very hard to mimic the Envy playstyle. So that's why you're going to have to play, hopefully, with the Sage Walls that they have now, with the buffs. That might be able to help them a little bit more to create that earlier space that they need here to try to fight for these site takes. And you're already seeing it. We're going back to it. The 5-player death ball, just, we didn't see on Lotus, but now we're going back to their try and choose. So the conversation from the coach to the team, let's play that game that we know of, and let's fight into a weaker site that Envy's holding currently.
Yeah, I think there's also some level of like, look, just forget map 1. Let's come out with some sauce. And Kane actually almost survives to take down 2. Misses the opportunity trying to go into the relay bolt, so the defense will rotate quickly, but no burst behind that for 9Z. Moment of pause, little silence to create confusion here for 9Z.
That's where the issue is, though, because they're stuck towards the A site. They have no mid control. They have no B presence, so it's almost like a stop and go. I like good old one gear style, and Envy's already there to fight. So you're going to have to wait a very long time, and you're not going to have too much util to reclear if you're going to go into a different spot, which is what you're trying to choose to do now for 9Z. So you have to stay continuing as a group so you can trade off as soon as possible. And by the time to make it towards that B site, you'll have that recon dart back up here for Klaus. You'll also have the shock dart for the B site. And then this finally will allow here 9Z to play a pretty decent post plan, as Envy are still anchored here over towards A.
Yeah, but you have to exert some caution if you're 9Z. You can't just walk in freely to main, you would think, just knowing how proactive Inspire had been in map number 1. More importantly for Envy, this is a very passive setup for the Cypher. So yeah, this shock dart will miss the opening trip. The one way is absolutely perfect. Does get countered though, so that's an open battlefield now to jump onto B and get a plant.
Yeah, try to do a little bit of a 2023 tech. But Poppin's already moving out for that first headshot on Soother.
Yeah, you can just tell Envy's feeling it. The reveal comes through. You follow with the shoulder, but Delzik able to turn him aside. Klaus good for another 2, and just like that, 9Z survive through the trade battle and win the battle onto B itself for the opening pistol.
Now we're starting to see a little bit of a Klaus that Dan Dry was mentioning on the desk here, of how much he's improved ever since he left that crew team and been grinding it towards the VCL. A little bit of a start that's definitely needed for the side of 9Z. I love here that we didn't really try to go for a fast re-hit at the minute mark as soon as the recon comes back up. By them stopping that noise, cutting that noise, you kind of just kept Envy guessing, because once they stacked up towards that site, they did leave that gap on middle. So they had to be afraid of like a lurk, the walk up, because they didn't clear too much on their side. And Envy now, you're seeing the second round, no shenanigans. Full classics on this side. Aggressive camera to look towards that B site.
Except there's lowercase shenanigans going on over at A with the judge in play. And Kane has to be in the right spot for this to find any sort of value. And we'll very quickly realize that it's not coming A. Poppin will step forward to ensure that. And now you just got to keep an eye on the Neon defensively to see if they can even get to the front side of B before this hit develops, because it looks like it's about to.
That's just how much respect 9Z is giving to Envy after that display of the first map. Look at how they're just staying back towards that spawn, because they're just expecting some sort of a 1-minute pop. And as it finally, we pass that threshold of that timer,
so big.
They're trying to walk for some space, and you're losing that 1v1. It's guaranteed to be hit now.
Yeah, yep, you're absolutely right. Aldrone is out. Paint shells deeper in towards site. The judge is not at the front doors, though. It is only Egg inside of this trap, and he gets denied. Kane looking for an opportunity, but 9Z has stepped up, found the eliminations that they need, and this should be a pretty comfortable anti-eco.
First miss there in terms of timing for Envy with that paranoia retake with the judge. Went a little bit too far ahead for the side of Kane, and yes, definitely, this should be an easy finish. You're seeing right now that you're trying to go for exits for Ion, but also at the same time trying to die to Spike, so you're not really fully committing yourself to show yourself out. You don't want to give any orbs to your opponents. And you want to make sure here that you have the best possible outcome in your gun round against 9Z's bonus round. But at least from what I've seen here in the last 2 rounds, there's been some sort of, you know, trying to sneak through utility and try to sneak through some of the exec for the side of Envy. They got through those gaps, they just couldn't kill him with the classics.
Yeah, very true. Well, Nags is going to find a couple of key eliminations there late. Envy will forfeit 2 ultimate orbs towards the potential resurrection, which could be nice, especially if you decide to try to play these, you know, trap style opening defenses. If you're Envy, you have to be successful convincingly in those, otherwise it will essentially be for naught. So something to consider as we move forward. Small little note, but yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, for 9Z, much more efficient in terms of how they've been able to find their opening 1v1s, you know, not just dropping and falling. It's been evenly exchanged at worst. So better here for 9Z in the opening frames of map 2.
Definitely seeing that they're a little bit more warmed up for the side of 9Z as well. Those were some clean shots from Nagzed and even earlier on by Klaus. But now back into a 4-1. Already an early lurk up for Soother. When this wall comes down, the trip's going to spot him, and the rest of the fight's going to happen towards this A site.
Flash comes through. Taco's able to at least counter the opening first blood. Again, just keeping it even. And ooh, deep relay bolt would have found success, but Kane peaks a little bit too early. So now it's just on to Inspire, who cannot win the 1v1 versus Soother. And how about the bonus coming through for 9Z? Hold your horses. They're showing up.
And that's what they were expecting on that second round there for 9Z. Why we stayed out towards that front B side so late into the round before actually committing into the B site. That double flash to try to peek through, but they did not expect that judge. Close range here from Taco. That's not going to get affected by any sorts of flashes. That was a paranoia flash in the front. It's good for 1 kill, but nobody really there to trade off, and Exter just couldn't be quick enough to TP out here for them to just hold the numbers advantage. And then look at that. Now he comes down to individual plays from that lurk from Soother. Wins 2 individual 1v1. So now you're looking toe-to-toe, though. It's looking a lot better. Envy is going to have to start thinking about cleaning things up a little bit more and making sure that potentially they're going to have to start playing a little bit more together instead of going for these solo pushes like they kind of did, or these solo plays like they did on Lotus.
Yeah, and, you know, pending how these next 2 rounds go, could be something to consider and talk about if they do decide to go to an early timeout. In terms of, do we want to keep playing for traps, or do we want to just kind of save our utility and play for an aggressive retake before the post plan can really get stabilized? But this round will be a bit of an enigma towards that conversation, just due to the fact that it is Sheriffs with a Guardian and a Bucky. And interestingly enough, 9Z will find freedom to walk right down mid and make some decisions from here.
You see how tucked in we are for the side of Envy. Even though you're taking top mid control, you want to try to go for a split into the B site. You're still in very tight angles for Envy to isolate individual pushes coming out from the side of 9Z. They haven't made any noise yet, so everybody's trying to push forward to try to find the info. And finally, the first point of contact in front of the B site. And here comes the fight towards Boba.
This is dangerous, though. Paranoia's going to come through. Blast pack Agways. Taco sets up Nags for 1. Ion able to connect, though, for some sort of a trade. The Bucky will be collected, but largely you got to be thinking Ion still holding on to the pistol. And now a swift rotation from mid over towards A. Spy Cam will be the first point of contact to this, though, so it gives Inspire a chance. No full reveal, slipping around the dark cover.
No
a bit
way.
mixy, but he's able to find 1. Meanwhile, Exter finds the lurker through mid, so we got a 2-on-2.
At least they get the plat down.
Oh, what a play from Taco. Stop the rotation before it can occur. Decoy does get hit, but also Ion down to low HP and no ammunition. Soother able to finish off the final limit. It's a swift 4-0 lead for 9Z.
I saw the vision coming out from Inspire too. He held on to those 2 trips the whole round. And then once he realized, okay, well, we've stuffed them enough here towards that B site. They're going to late rotate towards A. There's not going to be enough time left. We're going to start making some noise. He places the trip right towards short. He was hoping to potentially get a trip kill or something like that. But if not, played around the smoke perfectly to take down the planner. But outside of that, with that instant trade, very hard for you to retake on. If anything, it comes down to nice, crisp shots, especially out from Takuya against Exter right towards that shop when Exter is trying to throw his clone out. So again, we're going back into these toe-to-toe fights that 9Z looks woken up now from the previous map of Lotus. And this forces out, you were talking about here, Shift, the first time out actually used in this whole series from the side of Envy. And Stunner is going to try to discuss things now with the team.
Yeah, I can't imagine they needed to talk about too much in a 13-2 map number 1. But yeah, I think this has got to be an identity conversation about, all right, we're not really finding the value, you know, just to evaluate flat out the opening 1v1s, these before, like in front of the barrier battles in the first 15-20 seconds have only been evenly traded at best for Envy. They're not really finding the value that I think they're anticipating with the double duelist. So do we commit more resources to that, try to dominate one of those spaces early, or do we kind of back off of it, value playing a 5-man retake a little bit later on, especially as you need to consider things like a Hunter's Fury, like a Resurrection, getting close to things like Viper's Pit. Like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be worried about here outside of just the economy for 9Z financially.
With Envy's playstyle, I would totally respect for them just to fight the A side quite often and delay on B, right? Because You're always having somebody inserted so far for 9Z. If it's not going to be for a 4-player walk up and try to go for a contact play, there is at least the lurk out from Suther. He's been glued on the right side of the map this whole map so far. So that could be something they could punish, which they're already doing so, walking down here in this rifle round.
Yeah. But more patience this time for Envy. You get the dark cover one way over towards A. You have the op watching the initial angle at B. It's very, very safe. The offense, though, going to wander their way through mid. Market. Oh, the spy cam is in such a good spot, just over the dark cover. And Delzik will pay for his crimes of not placing it fully correct. That's an opening first blood to come through. Again, the resurrection is there. The barrier orb was committed to that. Hunter's Fury called in, tags a couple, but cannot find the elimination. And things will reset to the 5v5.
Big W, though. You force out the res, you force out the heal. They don't have too much to work out right now for 9Z in terms of the support that Nagzet could bring for the team, except for these slow orbs. A couple of pings gives you information on this attempt that they're trying to do to work up towards mid again, and you're still having great delays being played by Inspire. This should be a last-second hit towards the B site right now, so it's still a good read for 9Z to continue to brute force their way on that side.
Hunter's Fury is out for the offense, trying to clear out that front space over at Market, but Egster connects over through the front, and Inspire gets replaced back inside of Market, comes away with everything. Credit him, technically 4 kills on the round so far, and Klaus back towards his spawn will just sit and wait.
And that's the Hail Mary play. Just no map control. Let's just try to get some pings to answer back on the side of 9Z and brute force a way through towards Market. Remember that cam kill that he got on Delzik earlier on? That's a sort of play here that Inspire loves to play. We haven't really seen it on Lotus before, but if you've been watching challengers in North America, he places the cameras on different spots, server time, to realize where smokes kind of land, where they're kind of being thrown, so he still gets good value with the camera to look through. And then as you delay so well with that util, he's also been the reason why Envy has such a high percentage defensive round rate in terms of how good he's anchoring towards these sites. Although I see most often usually on the A site getting these multi-kills, but he's controlling Market like a charm.
Yeah, absolutely beautifully. Opening shock dart bounces right past the ears of Suther, who is on lurk duty right now over towards A. Poison Cloud is down to try to control the space up front. Meanwhile, a little bit of early pressure established for 9Z at the front gates of B, but nothing to come of it yet. We'll bounce back, pause, and reconsider.
Just looking to go for a fight play on A side for that control. You're seeing how tucked in we are for Kane Zero. The Paranoia propped up here for Ion, so they could just go for the stun, push down, and fight, and Kane trying to go for the hero play with that. They'll heal the drone, so he's going to have to fall back for a bit, but that's not too much information taken here for the side of 9Z after that. Yeah, you're able to bait out util and positioning. Okay, well, at least you're able to bait out Kane Zero pushing forward. Nice little pick by Suther.
Yeah, that felt like a bit of a over-anxious
100%.
peak right there. And I mean, to be fair, if Kane either A, wins that battle, or B, just gets forward, it allows the defense to really invest into this B defense. But now you've got to consider 2 things at once. First and foremost, though, for this defense at B is if A can hit again. Double blast pack out. Forces the shot. Does not work. Gate crash is not set up right now. Has to avoid the slow orb and does so nicely. But Taco's already on site and deals with the Cypher. Decoy gives Egg a chance. Finds himself one that also earns the dimensional drift. Chance to maybe stall out this plant a little bit, but the barrier orb reinforces the post-plant attack. Egg is stuck into a corner, but here comes the rest of Envy from the opposite side, and Poppin saves a life. Just down to 1. It's Delzik for the 1v3. Trying to slip around the back side, but Ion reads it, deals with it, and it's 2 rounds in a row for Envy.
Just mechanically so good there for Exer, but let's underline how they were so ready for that B side hit no matter what. Yes, it looks like it was a overcommitment when you started with Kane for that 1v1 fight against Suther, but you still had the support from, I think it was Irons, moving forward, so they still blocked that lane. So in the mid round, they're like, well, this is going to be another one of those hits towards that B site. And just getting that one single kill from Exter allows for him to get into the ult, pick up a rifle, delay towards that front site so that the other players could flood through from that back. Another round here where they had a good advantage to start for the side of 9Z, just like Lotus, but just unfortunately couldn't capitalize onto a round, and you're starting to see Envy here trying to find a little bit of footing towards this map.
Well, showstopper into the corner does work out. Heal orb is immediately there as Klaus will actually give some support and make sure Taco can stay alive. So quick 5v3, little burst play is working out nicely for 9Z. And honestly, this just comes down to, can Kane connect? He finds the first. Fast lane to reposition, but shut down by Delzik. Good slow orb placement by Nags. turning that into essentially an assist plus a self-credited kill. And it's on to Eggster for what would have to be a 1v4. Finds the first two in the corner almost. He had a good read, but Nags slipped underneath the aim, and 9Z get back on the board.
And now finally, you're again, when you're starting to see the players starting to wake up a little bit on the second map from that pissed round, landing very, very nice shots, instant headshots, instant laser beams. You're not going to see these types of mistakes like we kind of did on Lotus, where these 1 versus X's, these clutch scenarios that were so good from Eggster himself and from Inspire on that 1 versus 3 earlier on Lotus is not going to happen again this time around. So I love the fact too that they're kind of just, it doesn't look like they're playing together, but you're just trying to play the bait. Nagzet, even if he dies, there was going to be that swing out from Klaus when Eggster was going to be out in the open to guarantee a trade. So it's very nicely done. And it's a great start for the side of 9Z, because we just talked about how, you know, Envy are so good on defense, yet they've only mustered up 2 rounds out of 8 so far.
Still a chance to full purchase for Envy. Credits and economy is mostly fine for 9Z. A couple players feeling the burn just a touch, but with a 3-round edge, like you mentioned, you're still feeling pretty confident about what you've done so far. Key moments here, though, in round 8. Different op placement initially for Kane. Peeking through mid, dark cover will back off the angle, and 9Z late in this round will start to make their way through mid.
Yeah, Envy are changing things a little bit more to try to go for that mid control, because so far, presence towards A, they're just holding that line, but nobody was really rushing up except for explosive rounds. So now they are actually setting up a crossfire. There's a TP there to help for the side of Eggster to really try to cancel out the mid lurk that we're trying to take, and that is an overzealous peek that gets punished.
Yeah, and that's just tough because you have to challenge the dark cover at A. They use the owl drone. At the same time, they're trying to hope that Envy's focus will be on A, that they can work up mid. Not the case whatsoever. Absolutely stuffed. And now you have to kind of force the square peg into the round hole. You don't have any intel at all on A, but you got to try to make a play somewhere. And it's going to have to be here. So they're stalled. Good slow orb, but Poppin has freedom to pop the owl drone. Good reveal behind that. And Kane Zero will line up for the collat and then just push on forward. Nax is able to get the plant off and a little bit of damage, but there's just no way you survive through that. It will be Chuck Dart able to find the final damage needed as Envy get back onto their winning ways.
That was a beautiful paranoia thrown there by Ions on top of the relay bolt from Kane to get such the easiest collateral. You saw them both standing still, literally like deers in front of the headlights. And then they got collated right there. But it comes down to, okay, the mid control was kind of there. Kind of trying to get picked up here for the side of 9Z. But this right here, after the wall, swinging 1 by 1. The play was already to try to maybe have that Omen, if it's still alive here, to flash to go for that single peek, because the Sage still has to slow towards that spawn. So there wasn't really any adaptation on the fly of like, okay, crap, we've lost our Omen. We should try to go for a double swing instead of using util, or cancel and try to move somewhere else and activate somewhere else because you've already given your tell on mid. So that is going to call for an instant timeout for the side here of 9Z. Maybe I don't think it's going to be like, okay, we have to be watching out for all these check marks that I've just mentioned before, but it's also to just cool down here the fact that they really got stuffed on the last 2 exits that they tried to do here against Envy.
And think about how it's different. Like, just from identity standpoint, you're not going into 5v4s or even 4v4s. So that's one of those situations that you look at it and say the first blood efficiency that we kind of really gave them credit for in the first 5 rounds or so has been a little bit more absent. So there's an opportunity here, I think, to talk about, okay, well, if we're going to be playing full 5v5s late, how does that change our executive kind of decision making? But on the other front, maybe we just try to hit a bit of a burst and see if we could displace the defense that's still keen to play by the barrier. It's just not as forward and as proactive in trying to set up trap plays as they were in the openings.
It'll have to come down then to what type of util you really want to use to try to, or maybe snuff out where the operator's standing in the first place, or how do you push him back from that line if you're going to face off against this op, right? So I don't know if they're going to go for a different wall. It's still going to be the same one for the side here of 9Z. A little bit of a force buy that you have on that side. There's a Guardian for Delzik, and Nags that only has the Sheriff to work with. So after this timeout, you're seeing that there's no change of pace. They're not trying to explode as fast as they can. They're going back to the tried and true. Give up middle, try to work out towards A first, and then try to plow towards that B side for the finish.
See how it all unfolds. If they do get the plant down, Viper's Pit could be key. Not a guaranteed way to clear that right now. So that's something to consider.
Exactly why you want to go for a 5-man hit here for 9Z. You have a res to work out with if you want to go for a triple swing and then get that pit onto the site and just get your plant down.
Well, once this is communicated, Ion can teleport over to help. Looks like he's going to be committing for that, and yeah, he's going to go to the backside at B. Eggster, first one up defensively, has not been able to see anything over the top of the trap. Now has an opportunity as it falls. First blood good, second better. Now looking for more. Everyone's stuck in the corner, and it's going to be Egg for 4. Yeesh. Flawless round, and 9Z off the force buy and the timeout come up empty.
You have to understand, too, why 9Z didn't really commit to that pit yet either, because it's so passively played from the side here of Envy. They tried to go for a flash just to try to bait out shots in the very beginning. So you're thinking, okay, well, they're playing a little bit more passively. They're going to play around the util. We could just 5-man hit into the site. If we're able to take map control, site control, then we could pit right after. Because if you're just going to pit through, you're going to get zero information against what you have potentially on the retake for the side of Envy, especially when you heard that TP back from Ions. So yeah, the decision was there, but unfortunately the one with the pick got off guard and out in the open, and that just really fooled the rest of the execution once it got into the site.
Well, it was a quick 4-0 lead for 9Z. Since that point, it's been pretty much all Envy. And 9Z will likely, I imagine, anticipate that this round will not go all that favorably, but don't want to rule them out. We've seen a couple of great shots from Nags and Suther in particular on Sheriff, so still a chance to get something done, especially with the burst potential of Taco jumping on in. Aldrone will scout out some of the defensive pressure at elbow, not a ton, and oh, Envy look that they want to challenge this. And why not?
Easily.
Follow up, no problem. Viper's Wall, if that drops, could be dangerous, and it does, and it is. Oh my goodness. It's back-to-back flawless rounds for Envy, and we're tied at 5.
Oh no, I feel like I'm a teeter-totter or just a pendulum, because we went from, hey, this is good trades, good shots coming out here from the side of 9Z. Envy can't really go for these solo plays. Now we just got an extra 4K. We just got a Ion 4K right over here. And again, for the last slow pacing that we're trying to do, the slow scaling, sorry, that we're trying to do from 9Z is continuously peaking one by one right after, and they're just running into these sprays out from Envy's side. So now hopefully they could gather up the what they needed from that timeout to take these last 2 rounds. But they are giving up so much space as we go.
But this is kind of identified as what the first 4 rounds looked like. The dark cover one way not working out for Kane Zera. But look at the follow-up Ion, so bold. Does force the early res. Oh, no, and then the blind shot just predicting through the dark cover lands. Delzik loses his life. Aldrone will scout a little bit of this out, but Ion is still in position. And he's able to hit another. Does he get more? Opportunity for us. The page shells will force him back, and that will be how Taco gets not just 1, but 2. And all of a sudden, numbers back into the arms of 9Z.
And thankfully, Taco's there to really calm down that round. The wall, they're going to plant for a spawn. He's going to get an ult out of it, too.
And there, oh, no fly zone. Inspire shuts down the showstopper. Gate crash set. Nags is seen on the cross. Flash lands. Envy clears out the tight corner. Now has to go over towards elbow. They're going to swing it. First shot good. But Eggster responds to the 1v1. Dimensional drift comes through, and he's trying to dance with it. And it's just more Yoru antics for the Egg. A huge bounce back. Credit Ion initially, but Egg for the finish.
Put that into highlight reel. That's going to be talked about on Reddit. He got clowned on. He got TP'd right in front of his face and still kills him with the shorty. It doesn't matter that you were down so many rounds on your defensive side. Look at how it finishes. Look how Ion is opening things up with the operator as well. I think that first kill that he got onto Delzik, if I'm not mistaken, Delzik jumped into the smoke too. So he hears the audio cue, shoots into it, gets that pick. But look at this, dude. I can't fathom that this is what happened.
Oh, just Yoru things. Get in his face. Jump up on him. Avoid the headshot. Shorty. Oh, mercy me. 6-5 the count. 3 Guardians, pardon me. And 9Z are reeling after a 4-0 edge.
My gosh. There's also being told it was already a play being done by Eggster in the North American Challengers Finals. We'll hold that thought, though. Here comes the Hunter's Fury. from the side of Poppin for the last round of the half does get pinging information on that side. And look at how they change a defensive round too.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
expecting, okay, well, yeah, 9Z, we're getting snuffed all over the place.
Oh.
We could try to go for that plow into that A site, so Inspire is there, and now we're just going for solo peaks again. That's just unfortunate.
Yeah, looking for timing right there, but gets caught. Looking for a little bit of extra distance gained with the knife out. So numbers for 9Z to try to get us to a 6-6 half. There's the burst across. Well, what a nice little peek that was. Eggster will drop. Delzik will join the effort on the site. Paranoia cuts across the back. Kane still able to connect. Saw the head of another as Poppin is trying to make his way in. Is there an opportunity to try to overwhelm this with all of a sudden the overdrive out? But Klaus shuts it down. 2v3. Hunter's Fury at the ready. Viper's Pit currently up. Poppin is soaking up a lot of the green mist. And that will be enough for 9Z to finally get something going and end the half 6-6 tied.
And I love how they executed towards that B side too. A satchel across here from Taco to break crosshair placement on the op so they could swing right after. So that was actually a nice little take towards the end. And something that I was hoping to see a little bit more of that, more of those flashy plays to maybe run away with this first half here for 9Z, but at least they're able to keep it close. It's definitely a different ball game than what we've seen here on that first map of Lotus. This is probably that type of matchup that was expected by the desk as well when they mentioned that this should have been a close game. So we were able to catch up here for the side of Envy. Keep it close, and we're going back and forth. And maybe you see that also, the value of that Sage pick on that side here of 9Z. Look at how it slowed down that aggressive overdrive on the side of Envy.
Como estás, Peloncito? Muito bem. Todo mundo da Six Karma veio pra cá. Everyone from Six Karma came here today. So, Peloncito, why you guys came? To support 9Z?
Yeah, we came to support LATAM. We came to support 9Z. We're cheering for them, yeah.
Ele disse que veio aqui pra apoiar o pessoal, torcer por eles. Eu quero saber o que tá acontecendo. Do you know what's happening? Why they are having such a hard time?
Well, I think they're not used to play against teams like Envy, like really fast and aggro. And yeah, I think they're playing really good individually. So I think that's what's happening right now.
Ele diz que a 9Z não tá acostumada, talvez, a enfrentar times tão agressivos, que jogam tão rápido quanto o pessoal da Envy. Então a Envy tá saindo muito bem. E eu quero saber se ele acredita. Do you believe they can come around, they can overcome this next, get to the decider?
Yes, I believe. I mean, they're doing really good right now, and I think if they keep this way, they're able to manage to win them.
Ele diz que acredita sim, se eles continuarem nessa toada, eles vão levar pro Decider. Então vamos ver, vamos voltar pro game e ver se eles conseguem levar pro Decider.
All right, the crowd's starting to get into it a little bit as 9Z has thrown a little bit of fuel into the fire and said not so fast. 6-6 the count as we swap the sides back around, and I just kind of have to ask again, this is Envy's map selection, so you know they're well-rounded on both sides of it. I would say even more so. They usually actually do better on defense than they do offense, but is there anything kind of in the pudding here that you're looking for saying 9Z has a chance to still seal this map away?
Definitely, they're able to shoot back like they're supposed to be able to shoot back here with how prestigious this roster is in terms of the players, but also the fact that you're seeing that these solo lurks on the side of Suther were working out on the attack side. So I feel that you could also trust 9Z to play a lot of these 4-1s and anchor up here and delay as much as you could. The thing is, for this round though, this wall is a little bit there's mixed feelings about how this wall is being utilized. It allows for you to take a little bit towards the tiles as it drops, then you go for a peek, but then right after that, look at how they walk through, and Envy is about to get an open side on B. This is just completely red.
This is voluntarily selected, though, for 9Z, right? I mean, yeah, there you go. And they're actually going to find Kane on top of that. Oddly enough, Suther just kind of over towards Market. So the spike is actually not going to commit for the plant, and instead is going to make its way up towards mid, and Klaus is prepared for it. So Pistol looking pretty good here for 9Z. Inspire also caught on the roam, and unless someone pops off, this feels like a pretty casual round for 9Z.
Looks like Envy just tried to walk all the way around here and try to push towards the A site, but then they kind of split off when they got towards the back of Boba Control. And you're still planning out in the open where the flank is coming from on the triple swing when Inspire just got picked off. This is quite an interesting round here for a Pistol, for Envy at least.
Well, if you can find something as the smokes fade, maybe, but not the case. Ion First one, no, not going to work out. Right click too strong, and 9Z take a pivotal pistol here to start the second half.
Even then, look at how the wall's placed. They're like, okay, let's wall up so we can get into the site, but they walled off the spike, so they had to wrap all the way around to go back into the defuse. So thankfully, they stayed as a group once again for 9Z. A 4-player walkthrough from that kicked things off with a 3-player walk down from tiles, and eventually it came out good here for their side because everybody from Envy was kind of just separated on different spots. If they had rifles, maybe I'd give them a chance here for Envy, but it was very similar to what we saw in that pistol round on Lotus where Inspire was trying to be by himself on top of the staircase and got immediately popped off. But we saw what happened as soon as they had their gun runs right after. Envy had a very strong hold of the attack side. Now with the plant that they have, though, no stinger buy, we have a Bucky for the side of Kane.
Yeah.
We're going to try to utilize that to open up towards this B site.
Yeah, mad dash, find a weapon. Well, that was the intention, but Soother stands tall at the front doors of B. Inspire does find one, though, on his route through market, so that kind of at least keeps this point of ingress plausible for Envy to still utilize, but the defense is rotating over, and of course, they still hold the weapon superiority.
And the plan's just good here for Ion and the rest of Envy.
Spike planted.
Egg on the corner, trying to find timing. Chips away some damage at Klaus. Inspire able to find one more, so hold your horses. Aldrin's going to be used. Try to scout this out. There's the paranoia. There's still a trap, though, in the way. It does get deleted. But Ion inside the dark cover. Can he find the timing? Oh, instead he gets a blast pack to the face. Inspire following up for one more, but that will be all that Envy can collect as 9Z will take the anti-eco and grow their lead to 2.
Still a 3-player pick, a spike plant with the purchase of a Bucky on the side of Kane, so it's not too bad here for the side of Envy. I was just a bit because I saw Exer throw out that clone outside of that smoke. It was actually shot. I see him, but unfortunately, for the side of Envy, the person that shot the clone here on defense didn't get blinded by that, so it became easy kills towards the end when Exter tried to pop out of that smoke. Right over here. After this first kill from Suitor, look at that. Not even blinded. Easy kill onto Poppin, actually. And everybody else gets slowed down. So you're starting to see the counterpoint of bringing out the Sage once again, just to leverage the slowers more than the walls here to really stuff out the aggressive pushes attempted by Envy for these side takes.
Oh, nice opening shot from Taco. A chance for more, and he gets it. Oh boy, not how you designed this opener if you're Envy, and the showstopper will force everyone to run with their tail between their legs. Huge start though for 9Z in this bonus, coming in a very unexpected manner.
Fun part about this though, it's that it's Envy. I don't think they're going to try to save their weapons for 1 minute and 15 seconds. They're going to try to go for some sort of play. We don't have to podcast for a bit. You see Ion just trying to spray through the smoke and gets picked off, and this should be the round now. So yeah, this is a little bit questionable here. You're trying to disrespect the one-way smoke placed up in the first place from the side of 9Z. But again, everybody really just so gapped apart when they're trying to go for jumping through that smoke. Again, you have to respect Kane because he slides across and tries to break crosshair placement. But then for the rest of the team, yeah, they're not really falling behind that to be able to get those picks. A nice shot by Taco.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at it from his perspective, you kind of see it. It's just like, why are we getting 1 by 1 through this dark cover one way? But that's a huge round. True bonus, flawless, free weapons. I mean, that is get your cake and eat it too type energy. Kane sending it. What? Hello? Like, I mean, I get it. We're on a bit of a staggered purchase, but like, what are we doing?
Is this thing on? Yeah, I mean, you're trying to surprise some players now on the lower buy this time from Envy. The spacing was there, but unfortunately couldn't pull out the Bucky on time for Kane to do any sort of damage. I mean, look at that. Everybody full in terms of what they've purchased for the side of 9Z. It was a half shield being purchased on by one of the players, but overall, you're not going to spend too much going into this game, or this next round, rather. So the economy is building up quite well for the side of 9Z this second half. Envy now has a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
Trying to come back here in the second half.
Well, yikes. That was... I don't know. We've seen some plays from Kane today that are just like... It does... I won't say, like, I don't want to use the word, like, disrespecting 9Z, but it is, I don't know, a little overheating. Like, they're just trying to go a step or two too far. It just doesn't feel like the support has necessarily fully been there for him, not just in map number 1, but of course you're seeing it kind of unfold here on Sunset. 9Z, first 2 kills, 2 clean, and Envy just trying to force their way through mid. Klaus is going to find a third. That's got good enough to get a Hunter's Fury. Not that he's going to really need it in this round, you'd think. Nags is still watching over through mid. Inspire does shut down Klaus, so you do pick the right site to go to, but Nags connects, and he gets to read that Inspire is also in the vicinity.
I think the smoke kind of missed on that top right side. Klaus just jumped on top of the ledge and probably got an easy one-way and just sprayed down those 3 players trying to pinch through towards Boba. So Envy trying to go for some fast action. And once again, it didn't work out.
Plant the spike.
Satchel out.
This would be magical. Especially considering that he's picked what was essentially a one-done corner. Unless you get some sort of a lineup. You hear the footsteps just kind of teetering on the top of this B-Raptor. There's the first, there's the second. Stop it. 1v1 with Nags, who only has the op. No weapon to collect immediately. But Inspire is low on ammunition. But Nags is just going to run away? What? Unbelievable. Inspire's going to pull off a technical 1v3 as Nags decides to save the op when they could send offshore bank accounts to Bermuda if they wanted to.
And that's the thing. Even if you get the pick and no time left, Envy is going to be in a tough buy in the next round. Of course, there'll still be a rifle round, but less util. Small shields, half shields. And then you could play the long game in terms like the econ advantage. But you just gave that away there to Envy. That gives him a chance right now to really come back in this game. Extra, they could start controlling ores, maybe start working with a shotgun around here right after. And yeah, I do really think here that you would call this timeout for I was gonna think 9Z in the first place, but now it's really just think about how they've opened up this window for Envy to try to take. So it looks like Stunner has some sort of plan here that he wants to overtake right now, because it also came down to a clutch scenario for Envy to be able to get that round. And that macro game that we were saying that 9Z were doing so well on that Lotus map, they're doing it right now on top of good firepowers. Now it's Envy finally realizing, okay, we know that we're up against a good team right now, a tough team, a tough opponent, and it's time to take things a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, this is a good kumbaya moment for sure. Yeah. Like, this is one of those, like, you've let the dog off the leash a little bit. All right, let's just pull it back just a touch. Clutch moment from Inspire, allowing a bit more of an opportunity to keep this thing tight, but the op is saved. Evaluate that decision personally in Twitch chat as you may. Still comes into play here in round 18. This is still a very critical moment in this map for Envy, who really could still largely only afford half shields.
And even Poppin doesn't have too much, so he's going to go with the Guardian. He's going to ask for a judge, but looks like we're able to buy enough here just to make sure that we have a Vandal on our side. What a play.
Yeah, yep. That's your roamer down, so Envy, they know that they need to try to go quickly, but the slow orb is in their way. Owl Drone trying to scout things out past the toxic screen, doesn't reveal too much of anything. Paranoia will cut across the site. Hunter's Fury trying to delay, and Nags will get a second opportunity, and then the Hunter's Fury just holds them in their track. 2v5. This is one of those good luck, have fun type moments. There is spaghetti all over the floor. And by spaghetti, I mean slow orbs and snake bites and shock darts and everything that you don't want if you're an Envy fan.
Wait, this is Envy style now. Look at the runaway from Poppins so that Kane could hold back the A side, the B side alone. This will at least allow for you to get a plant for the side of 9Z. But if Kane could actually get some sort of a pick, cut, rotates or something, he's got to expect that there's somebody on market that should be able to hear him. You just saw here that little 360 through the mini-map that Soother just tried to do. I think he heard some sort of a footstep, but they just want to make sure that they stick together on the flood retake. Because you are playing a lot of men advantage right now for that retake, a 5 versus 2.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a one-dimensional retake here. Delzik is just going to make sure there is just not any late lurks coming out of B. It's taking time, and you've got Kane just watching for contact on the cross through the mid connector. Poppins playing for sound cues up close and personal, finds the first, not going to get the second though. Now it all rests with Kane, trying to watch the cross, only on about half health. First opportunity, dark cover blocks it. Relay bolt down. Op shot misses, but cannot lock the shots onto Klaus, and we're gonna get 11-7 tally, 9Z in a position of control on the map.
Yeah, and despite Nagzed missing that last off shot there to get that pick onto Kane, at least the first ones that he had towards that B site was actually quite clean, easy for him to hold. And that's the experience also that Nags brings into this roster. When you talked about the desk, how good he's been in the past here for crew, it was actually like like usually a jet player, but had to play a little bit of Senti going into the crew camp, and then back into the chamber meta. He's been a prominent opera for the team, and one of the key moments of success too when they're trying to figure out that meta on the side of crew. So also putting up a lot of those numbers on the defensive side with the ops. So definitely an opponent that you have to respect for the side of Envy if you're going to try to scale through. If not, you're giving easy shots. This is what this is the scoreline that we're currently seeing here for 9Z. But look at this triple push on tiles.
This is 9Z building some confidence. Able to find one. That's not the worst news ever. It does kind of force a commitment here, though, for Envy. And actually, they're going to hold off and see if Poppin can kind of try to pinch this from the offensive spawn. Doesn't work out. But he will read that there is no immediate threat working through elbow, so the spike will make its way towards A and likely look to get dropped in.
Poppin's running all the way back towards B to go for the big flank. So if you could actually delay here on the side of Kane, this will be big for Poppin to flank with.
And he's got a Hunter's Fury if he does clean up the backside of the site. Just comes down to can they win these first 1v1s up close and personal. You see Kane with a Bucky on the corner. Inspire finds the first. Suther knows that there's trouble nearby. But do they know how quickly Poppin is on his way over? At elbow, though, a new front on the war has been established. Inspire finds a second. Kane! Oh! He gets a little 1v2 through elbow. And Envy somehow, someway, able to work through the magic of a force buy.
What do we do there for 9Z? First off, there's 3 players walking down tiles, and you lost to one person that has a classic. The fact that he's able to get 1 kill out of that is demonic. Right over here, on to Klaus, and even Klaus at first shot. But when they realize that they had Poppin on a full rotate, they have to know that there's going to be a stack here towards that A site. So go disrespect the lurk here on the side of spawn. Try to overtake that spot there on the side of 9Z to allow for you to retake the site a little bit more cleanly. They've given up so much space. This is twice now that we kind of given too much respect to Envy in the late rounds.
I hear you.
And that throws away 2 rounds.
Yep. Hunter's Fury at the ready, overdrive and dimensional drift for Envy. Opposite side, showstopper. Close to a Viper's pit is 9Z. And we've got some very unusual silence in the first 30 seconds of this round. And as I think 9Z is starting to feel a little bit of pressure all of a sudden, knowing if they drop one, things can get out of hand pretty darn quickly. Here's the dimensional drift to feel out the B site. The execute quick to follow.
Nowhere to run.
Yeah, they're trying to use a Hunter's Fury with it. He's not going to continue to follow because it's at the end of the timer of the dimensional drift. But that's full site taken now.
Oh, and Inspire cuts the action through Market. Kane pushes forward to scale deeper to the backside of B. And honestly, if you're 9Z, you just don't have a route here. And Ion's going to make matters worse by playing a little bit further forward, but Klaus shuts it down. You can just tell by Delzic's position that unless a couple of kills comes through, this is likely going to be some sort of a save. And that is what we're looking at. So Envy very quickly get to 9. And it does feel like a bit of like a stagger right there from 9Z, where they just kind of get pushed back and all of a sudden they kind of feel like they're on their heels a little bit.
Well, this is where we have to commend how Envy looks really good macro-wise as well. Roy was mentioning strong legs at the desk, how good they are mechanically in the micro, but there was a great plan for Envy to take over that B site. As you break the door and you go with the dimensional drift, it clears out the market. You smoke up at the top, mid at the same time. What that does right now is allows Inspire to lurk into market to find some spacing while you're still continuing your dimensional drift inside the B site to play the good old Hunter's Fury dimensional drift combination to push players back. So not only can you potentially get pings and 80 pings with the Hunter's Fury, you take site control and you also get inserts in lurks. And that results into 9Z not being able to go back into what they're really good at, into the flood retakes on their side. And look at how they're double pushing on top of that. This is how good also you want to be having players that are selfless at the same time, where Kane Zero usually is phenomenal in the North American side, but now is just doing a great job getting those impact frags as he gains that space here for the team as his Neon.
Yeah, it's impact frags from the front of the hit, but I think just to kind of throw an extra layer into the conversation, it's not just finding value in the first bloods where you expect your executes to come from. It's how quickly in the mid round players are finding these long routes to pinch to find these flanks. Inspire in that last round through Market. As like you're starting to see the offense get deeper into B, Inspire's the one who actually finds the contact, finds the info, finds the kill, and that allows Kane to even go a little bit further. So if you're 9Z, I think you are getting a little bit pushed back, but you're finding yourself on your heels before you can even set up your retake because of how quickly you're seeing Envy move around the map. Once they find some sort of an entry, I won't even say a successful one, just some sort of entry is leading to these crazy mid-round updates and adaptations. You got to give shout outs to the IGL Inspire, I believe, that really kind of set that up.
Yeah, Poppin actually, yeah. But even Inspire could be that secondary voice too. Inspire has had a lot of IGL experience in the past as well. And definitely, if you're going to be the Cypher lurking around, you could find those timings and communicate that for the team and how you want to manipulate the rotates after your initial macros being called out now by Poppin. That said, though, after this timeout, I like this here from 9Z. I felt like they were giving a little bit too much space since Nags had got the operator. It's only going into these anti-ecos that they're actually trying to push a little bit more aggressively on their side. Now you're being proactive with utility. You're trying to find that spacing that they're trying to take for Envy side first, and now you adapt.
I was gonna say good counterintelligence here for Klaus, but Envy still trying to push through that. Trade comes out. The big question mark is what can you get from Taco when he gets shut down before you can pull the showstopper fully out? Suther holding on to Market. Good reveal, good vulnerability for a moment. But again, here is that little pinch set up once again, and Ion wraps behind the play for 2. Delzik inserts himself to trade. This would be a 1v3, but the spike will quickly rotate to A for the free plant.
What a play. Exer was trying to move through. I felt like he was trying to pick up the spike and TP out because they hit the door at the same time. So they wouldn't get sprayed here by Suther, but there was a little bit of a bump chest going through. Delzik, though, got information on both players, but he is now also spotted by the cam.
First 1v1 is a critical one. Instead, trust that the dark cover will give him some peek in towards the site. The second one is set up for a potential defuse. Delzik trying to find timing outside the dark cover. Does not initially see the Cypher, but then turns back to it, to the 1v1 now with Eggster. How do you play this? Delzik pops out, but Eggster responds, and Envy's cooking. 10-11, down 1.
Oof. And now you're seeing like the slow pacing from Envy is also working out quite well too. So again, to talk about a little bit of the defensive side for 9Z, they were given a bit too much space when, you know, you had Nags as the op, but he's playing a Sage, so you can't really play forward angles and try to TP out. So you have to play positioning op angles rather, a little bit more passively, so they walk into your crosshair. So then you're forcing players to maybe fight or be more stacked towards middle or A, but still being too passive because you're trying to react on what's happening so far. And then Envy instead now this time they're slowing the pace down. And then when they slow down the pace, well, 9Z gets caught.
This is bold. I mean, you know that you're dealing with 9Z on limited economy, but the from the shadows into the backside of B instantly throws 9Z into tatters, and there's Ion revealing the play. Taco gets overwhelmed. And I don't know, well, I think we all kind of know, like, where was this Envy in the first half? I think there's a little bit of, like, we're better, like, you know, page 1 of the playbook, hold W kind of mentality, but they've reformed, they've restructured, and in the last 6 rounds, Envy has really taken over.
Definitely have been looking good. And though I'm pretty sure those were all the timeouts being utilized by 9Z as well, so there's not too many opportunities right now for them to really bounce back from what their coach could really see for the side of 9Z here. So right now the upper hand goes back. Yo-Man cannot have that conversation with 9Z, so it gives a chance now for Envy to really continue their strong attack side. They've shown as well on Lotus.
Wow. Reds is available. Klaus close to 100 straight, but they're not going to have a chance to respond to it, or will they? We've got a little bit of a meeting of the minds here, front side at B, and it will result in a 4v4. But look how quickly Inspire's already made his way back up towards mid. Spy cam for the defense trying to scout him out, but Inspire holds back, so he can still use this position a bit covertly if Envy want to rotate back, which it looks like they do.
Like that we're keeping an insert too, though, because you see that Nagzed has this res to work with. So Ion is staying towards B main, or he cuts rotates, or he tries to play a 1v1 when you're trying to res towards B main. And now it becomes a 2 versus 2 on the A site because of that. Envy has an opportunity to open up the A site and to have 2 individual lurks right after in the post plant.
Or is this just a play for the dimensional drift, though? Orb collected. Egg is going to be able to find 1 and then immediately get out of the dimensional drift. I think they're thinking they can isolate this Viper, anticipating that they're the only one on the site. That's not the case. And Egg will also lose his life. So 9Z, numbers advantage. And they've got Envy scattered around the map with a very late last-second rotation back to be on the way.
Swung a little bit too wide before he shot there, so kind of gave his tell on the angle being held by Nagzit. So that gives a chance now for Inspire to retreat and play with his team. We just talked about the double inserts. Poppy was making so much noise on the rotate to try to get that 1v1 forced out of 9Z. Now everybody has to stay out forced to spawn because they have to respect where items could be lurking.
Yep. Poppin, trying to kill some time. Nobody home yet, though, past this dark cover. Spam just to make sure of it. A little bit of counteraction now on the way as 9Z will stack. Paranoia being held. And Poppin's going to find 1 through the dark cover. Deletes the recon before it even pings. Oh, my goodness. 9Z are held back.
You gotta save.
They're trying to make a last-second rotation, possibly through market, but you've got to go like you're talking about, Vans. Otherwise, you're just forfeiting the round, and they're going to save? We're hitting the res to try to save this? Are we crazy? Envy's going to get to 12.
I respect it. You're rezzing to try to get econ value into the next round because your economy's in shambles right now for the side of 9Z. But man, what individual plays again coming out from Envy into the micro this time around to the post plant. The fact that you just have Poppin just spamming and spamming, hoping that he could bait out counter spams, counter shots out from the side of the defense. And when that happens, the flash comes out from Ion to delay him. Look at that. He breaks the recon, flash hits all 3 of them. That delays everything from 9Z to try to retake that site. Just because of how they've been fast on rotates, but not getting forward space. That's what I'm saying. When they're not able to find mid information for the side of 9Z, it kind of falls into shambles because you have good positioning for the side of Envy with these inserts. That's been a pain of their defense for 9Z.
Man, I don't know, though. Those are 2 rounds. A 1v1 where you've got well, actually it's a 1v3, but a 1v1 with Nags and Inspire, that Nags has an op and says I'm going to save it when they've got essentially max credits anyways. And then right there, a 4v3, you die into a dark cover spam and then just give up on the play essentially. So Kane, how about this? The Owl drone that we've seen from Klaus comes through once again, but this would be a unique look. If Kane can clear this angle, how does Envy try to utilize this space?
Don't tell me he's gonna walk through.
This
he
is
finds
bold.
this timing somehow with a backstab kill onto the raise. Oh, Taco's gonna be angry.
Yep, he's mad. So now you've got mid wide open. Defense trying to collect some space. Fast lane will keep the A defender at least somewhat busy. And actually the Paranoia gets baited by a decoy. Oh no, 9Z have fallen a bit apart. Poppin trying to use the Hunter's Fury over through market. Does not really do too much. And now you go back to Kane to see if you can use this as a pivot point.
30 seconds
Oh my
left.
gosh, and now you're counter flanking again on Boba.
Well, there's the kills for 9Z. Poppin still keeps the play alive, and Kane will connect. Klaus up top, denied as Kane connects once more. Just down to Delzy. He's going to find the first. 1v2 now. And this is the next difficult moment. Where is Envy? And he's got to go quickly. And now we're spending a lot of ammunition. Does he clear this corner behind the small box? He does. Finds the 1v1. Now with Poppin. Dark cover will block the angle. There's the toggle. Shock dart not going to land. Poppin has 1 more to spend. Does he get caught with the bow? No, it's a recon bolt first. Now you've got a shock dart, and that will be how Envy do it. What a comeback effort. It looked sloppy at the beginning. You take a timeout. You say, all right, let's just kick the brakes a little bit. And from that point, they get the car back into gear, and Envy 2-0 the opening match here at Ascension.
And what an awesome play on that 1v1 from Poppin to utilize his utility at best as a Silva to get information and to guarantee the kills. The recon outside of the smoke, it just comes to show how Envy, they're not flustered by the stage presence of 9Z. Again, decorated players on that side who are looking across the stage literally saying, how did we lose to a team of rankers? And Envy comes out not only prepared, but outskilled and outshot, especially on how they played their attack side and they're definitely looking like the team to look out for right now in this Ascension. The team that might move up into the VCTs next year because they've proven a point. One, that they could still dominate, and two, this time around, that they could play the comeback and even shut down big leads from their opponents.
Yeah, man,